The Bible is for me. Hello there, angel from my nightmare. Hello in the background of the morn.
Yeah.
The honest make them.
What?
Of darkness in the valley. We can live like Jack and Sally if we want. Where you can always find me.
There's stuff
Sing
I need
if
to
you know
say.
it.
No,
And
there's
we'll
stuff I
have
need to say about
Halloween
your
on
singing.
Christmas. And in the night we'll wish this never
No,
ends.
we'll wish this ends.
We'll
I have been wishing for this to end.
Don't waste your time on me. They're like, oh, I had Spotify on podcast. I didn't realize. I thought I was listening to the song.
I don't think you... Like, I think you know, but I don't think you don't know just how bad you are at singing stuff. Like, there's not a way.
It's not good. It's not good. And people wonder about the depths of human delusion. I was a lead actor in a musical in front of people.
What was the musical?
High School Musical. Loosely based on my
Troy
life.
Bolton right here.
Loosely based on my life.
You were a basketball
I-
star.
I love and I love hate telling that story because there was very few DVDs that exist of it today. I don't think there's any. Are there some that exist today?
I got the one.
Okay. And I was just like, I killed it. I thought I did great. I thought it was phenomenal. And at my graduation party, it's my senior year in high school, my mom was like, I guess we could play your High School Musical DVD. And I was like, yeah, like my big mounted trophy. You know what I mean? I was like, put that thing on. And I was like, oh my gosh.
It's so bad.
The emperor looked in the mirror and saw his chest and said, I'm not wearing any clothes. I wish someone would have told me. And then all my friends were like, we tried to tell you. It's a great story. Lessons learned. Now I just sing on the podcast. I make everybody listen to that.
In front of way more people.
In front of far more people, yeah.
In perpetuity.
But they sing with me. Miss you, miss you, miss you, miss you.
They sing along to drown the sound of your voice out.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Tim, I heard recently they don't call it Twitter anymore. What do they call it?
Formerly known as Twitter.
What do they call it?
It's called X.
X. 3 and 4. That's what we're covering today. Exodus 3 and 4.
I got a hot take before we get in to too much. Sorry, and it's weighing on my mind.
Close your Bible for just a moment. Hot take time.
It's a hot take about a people group that I've kind of got some beef with. It's a little bit controversial.
Hey, note to Rob, the producer, the following might be cut just for the production notes.
I'm just saying there's some stuff.
Yeah.
And it's going to be controversial because some people are going to be like, Tim, you're the worst. But hear me out and understand that why I'm the worst and maybe why I'm like a normal person.
Okay.
It's the patrols. It's the patrols at my kid's school. And I know that the first thing I should do as I greet them is say thank you for your service. But what I just want to say is,
I think that's like a...
Hey, can you like shut the door all the way? Can you like shut it all the way so it closes the whole way?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, when I leave the school after dropping my kids off, I gotta hear my car tell me, "Hey, your door's kind of a little open."
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But you know what I can't do in the car line is go, "Hey, one more time."
Take another crack at it.
I can't do that. And
Yeah.
there's this super sweetest kids.
The fifth graders.
They're so nice to have a great day. They're so sweet.
Yeah.
But shut the door. Just you have a job.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's to keep my kids safe, but also that part two of that
Right.
is to keep me a little bit sane, and you're not helping by not shutting the door. It's just harder. You have parents at home who make you shut the car door. Why is this so hard?
I don't even know how the doors work.
That's who I have my most recent beef with.
My issue with them typically, and I'm very grateful for them, I think they're underfunded, personally. I wish we gave them more resources.
Anthony's our hero.
They don't get my door, my car. They'll hit the other, like it's a line, and there's not enough of it. Doesn't ever like line up like there's actual spots. It's like, okay, 6 cars, 6 patrols. It's always like you just kind of pull up and stop when you're out of room, and they always go to another car. And then I gotta like reach over and like get the door, and then they're like, oh,
you wanted your kids out too?
Oh, okay. And then they come over and I'm like, okay, well, so here's the thing. My kid getting out can actually close the door. That's like the easy part. It's the opening that's the hard part. And I took care of it. So
thanks, but no thanks.
Go back to your thing. Mm-hmm. But that badge means something.
Maybe they knew you were like singing in the car and that's why they avoid you.
Don't waste your time on me. They're all like, I don't want to get it. They don't pay me enough for this. We get hazard pay for getting that car. It really is a tough gig. You have to be at school like early. You know what I mean? I've looked at the patrols as a parent and been like, oh, I don't want my kid to be a patrol. Now I got to be there probably a half hour early before like drop off starts.
Mm-hmm. And you're not doing that.
I'm not.
We know that.
I'm gonna Uber my kid.
You won't even make it 5 minutes early.
I'll be the patrol here, and I'll let them in the Uber car, and they'll send them on their way. Just kidding.
Just be sure to shut the door all the way.
Just kidding. All right. Hey, Rob, you can leave that in. It wasn't that offensive. We're going to dive into a little book we like to call the Bible. Mm-hmm. Before we do, that take you just had was really good.
Thanks.
And what else is good is helping kids. Hi, I'm Anthony Russo from Bible Was Funny, asking you once again to help us reach our goal of sponsoring 100 kids through Compassion International. You can go to compassion.com/BibleIsFunny and sponsor a kid today. Let us know you did, and we'll give you a shout out on the podcast. You're going to sponsor one of these kids. It's a monthly support that provides them food, education, clothing, stuff for them to live a happy, healthy life and thrive in this world. And it's a really cool thing. We're trying to reach our goal of 100. So,
but if those kids think they're getting a free Bible is Funny t-shirt out of this, they are wrong.
No, well, you just have to. It's the shipping that gets you, guys. I wish I could send them free.
I'm just kidding. If they want a shirt, they can have a shirt.
Truly, if we had shirts, we should make shirts.
Well, see, it was easier to not give people shirts and promise them when we didn't have shirts, but now you're saying we're going to make shirts.
No, I just like to say we should make shirts. Oh,
and then not do it.
Yeah.
We totally should.
We should hang out.
They sip from my Bible is Funny mug.
We should hang out later.
Yeah.
Okay. Compassion.com/BibleIsFunny. Check it out. Link is in the show notes. Now it's time for a little segment we like to call Cheat Day Devos. And we are in the book of Exodus. We started it this year.
Yeah.
Way back.
Gonna be 25.
Way back. So we're not very far. Here's my little spiel before we start. Tim and I, very good friends. Pretty good pickleball players. Don't know a lot about the Bible.
Not much.
Frankly. We just like to read it and talk about it and discuss it. This is not like a theologically rich podcast necessarily. You're going to want to go somewhere else for that.
Unless you think like marshmallows are like rich.
Sure.
Because they're not really made of mud. There's not much substance there.
Right. Like healthiness is a scale. So if the healthiness you're aiming for is eating marshmallows every day,
we're your guys.
You're going to get there through the marshmallow diet. We are the marshmallow diet. We call it Cheat Day Devos because we find, based on a nutritional value diet element of common, that you should have marshmallows like once a week. And so we're the Cheat Day Devos. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So go do your other ones the other days. Come here. We're going to joke. We're going to laugh together. It's just a good time. It's just for grins. It's just silly. Just being silly. So today we're getting into Exodus chapter 3, and here we go. Now Moses, maybe you've heard of him, was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight. why the bush does not burn up. Something that jumped out to me here is it's kind of presented like, wow, that's really fascinating. I should go look at it. And I feel like if you're out in the wilderness with the sheep all day, you're looking for anything out of the ordinary. Like, did I see something over there? I better go see if I saw something.
Yeah, I think that rock's got a shadow that I should go look
There's
at.
like a rock shadow. I better go check it out. Like, I think you're going to see anything.
Right. You're probably also going back to camp, like telling all these crazy stories about what the sheep did. Can you believe
That's so true.
Becky, she like walked right behind Brutus and like he like kicked his foot and it got like dirt right in her nose and then she sneezed. Can you believe it, Becky?
Oh, you never sneezed.
It's a sheep. No, what I liked about that is that there's the Bible includes an explanation here as to why Moses was curious about it.
Right.
Like, where he says, I will go over and see this strange sight. Why does the bush not burn up?
Right.
Like, well, yeah, obviously that's why he's going over to look at it. It's like if there's a story that went, the alien space torch landed next to him and began speaking his name. So then Frank, the space hunter, said, I will go check out the space torch because it said my name.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Same thing.
You can leave that part out. But okay, go ahead.
Almost like, I mean, if the bush was just regular on fire, he was so busy, he would have had no time. Guys, I think he's going over either way. That's all I'm saying.
Nothing there.
Bush is on fire. You're out there with a bunch of sheep. You're going to go see what's going on. So he does. Verse 4, when the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, here I am.
I hear that as a sitcom. I'm going to cue the sitcom.
Oh, yeah.
Here
like
I am. And then...
I heard it a little as the Daddy Finger song. Here I am.
How do you do?
How do you do? I do like this in verse 5. Do not come any closer, God said. And so in my head, what has happened is, he's like interested. He's got nothing to look at, nothing to really talk about. He goes over, the bush is on fire, and then a voice calls out to him. He's like, here I am. And he's like all in it. And then God has to, in verse 5, go like, don't come any closer. This is a fire. You can't put your face in this.
Oh, see, I read it the other way. It's like Moses is still shepherding after all. So
yeah,
we don't know that the angel of the Lord lost its sense of smell.
Right.
You're
good where you are.
It's just kind of
good there. Good there. God said, God said in verse 5, take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. Then he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God.
Yeah. I could also see like hiding your face from the fire, kind of like when I roast marshmallows at the campfire. It's also just a fire in your face. You kind of hide it.
You hide your face.
But what I'm curious about is where the this is holy ground stops. Like,
what's the radius?
Yeah, we're talking radius, or we're talking like a stage out that way. Like behind me isn't really that's not too holy, but like we got like 10 feet. We got a 6 foot radius. Like what? There's like everything the light touches is holy. Like what? I need some details.
That's a funny take, because then if you're Moses after the exchange,
when do you take them up?
You're like,
I'm just gonna.
Can I put them back on?
Also, like, if it's really holy ground, I feel like you should have your shoes on.
I honestly did have the same thought.
I don't want your dirty shepherd feet on my holy ground.
And I don't think you have good options, in fairness. I think they're probably both. They got their own things going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the hid the face was kind of funny, because you like. A minute ago, he's like staring deep into this fire, and then he's like, God. Now I'll hide my face. Like, well, I mean, we're here. Respect, though. I get it. Verse 7, the Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I've heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. Mm-hmm. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them out of the land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites.
Parasites? Oh, yeah. I like that here it says, like, I've heard them crying, and I'm concerned about their suffering.
Yeah.
Oh,
getting involved.
you heard enslaved people like crying out, being beaten, killed, and you're concerned. You have a level of concern.
Yeah.
Well, it's mighty big of you.
You wonder if the degree of like Joseph, again, we kind of talked, it's an interesting wrinkle that Joseph kind of like sets up a system that then falls in on itself in regards to the Israelites. So that, I was just kind of curious about all that. That's really stuck with me the more we've talked about this. But anyway, yeah, he's concerned. And now the parasites also, I wondered if, as you said that, I wonder if anyone from Paris was like pushing for that as a name for their citizens. What if we're the parasites?
Parisian, that'll never catch on.
No one likes that. Let's be the parasites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now, go. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. This is 3 verses where God is speaking to Moses, kind of explains the plan in pretty good detail.
I feel like Moses is probably saying, okay, 2 things. One, you didn't know that they were miserable until you didn't see that was happening until after they were crying out. Like, what were you what were you up to? There's not that many people on this earth now. What were you looking at?
Yeah,
you were distracted. And then 2, I thought you, God, you just said that you had come down to rescue them. I don't think I need to go to Pharaoh. Because you said you were going to do it.
That one he brings up. The first one he doesn't bring up as a question at all, although he's got his questions. Moses says to God in 11, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" Verse 12, God says, "I will be with you, and this will be the sign to you, that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain."
That's the sign. It's like,
yeah, I did think that was
I want you to go to a bear den, like where there's like 100 very hungry bears, and I want you to just put like some steaks tucked into your pants, and then you'll know that it was me that sent you when you come out, because you'll come out and you'll say, "Tim, you're the best."
Right.
That's how you know. That's how you know it was me that sent you.
Right, because
you're gonna come out of there and you say, "Tim, you're pretty awesome."
Right. I feel like it's saying like, well, this is gonna work. This is gonna work. So,
but
that's your
you'll
sign.
know it was me.
You'll know it's gonna work
if you
because
come out and worship me.
Because it will have worked.
And if not,
you'll know it's gonna work because it will have worked. That is the essentially the sentiment. This exchange is great, by the way. I loved every bit of this. Verse 13, Moses said to God, "Suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me.' And they ask me, 'What's his name?' What should I tell them?" This is like Moses is a little bit of a project manager, I feel like. He's asking some very practical questions.
Right. He's got a boss that's giving him some vague directions.
This is like...
Ask for clarity.
Right.
For sure.
So God's kind of setting the vision. Like, here's what's going to happen. And again, 7 through 10, it's very like, wow, this is a beautiful story of redemption and coming out from being oppressed and blah, blah, blah. And then Moses has these practical questions of, what if they ask me? What if they tell me? What if they're looking for a name? What if they're looking for some credentials? What do I say? So verse 14, God said to Moses, "I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you." Which this verse always reminds me of the bowler. Pete Weber, was it?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
Is that right? Do you remember? I can't believe I should have looked this guy. I can't believe I write that in. Great clip. All-time great sports clip where he's bowling. You know the sport. With the pins in the lanes.
Sunday afternoons
in the silly shoes. And he bowls to win the championship. He bowls a strike. It's like as dramatic as bowling gets. And he's yelling at the crowd and he says, "Who do you think you are? I am." Who do you think you are? I am.
Nailed it.
I love that.
I think he's been rehearsing that for a
There's
week.
no way. That hit him in the moment. That's something overtook him in the moment.
That was the joke.
And he...
I like that there's... I am who I am, so tell him that I am has sent me to you. And if I'm Moses, I'm going... So they're in on this inside joke, because I don't get it, but you're telling me, boss, that they're going to get it. Okay, fine. Just want to make sure that they're going to get it. It's not just, they're not going to kill me.
Right. This is so, I love every bit of this exchange. Verse 15, God also said to Moses, say to the Israelites, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me to you. I covered this earlier. Remember what I said to you at the beginning? You could say that to them as well.
Right.
They will know about me.
Well, he said, just go say I am who sent him.
Right.
And then he goes, okay, fine. Say the God of Jacob and Israel. No, that, oops, sorry, buddy. Never mind, say that. Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay, in case there's some stragglers that weren't in on the inside joke.
Right.
What if I just say that one instead?
Well, this is what is so funny to me, because it's like this it's like this just back and forth, this very human talking to God interaction, which is like, it's what it is. And it's like, oh, you're God? How do I know? And it's kind of like me going to you like, you tell me you're Tim. Explain that. How are you, Tim?
I'm talking from a bush that's on fire. Is that not enough?
Just this bush. There's no fire else anywhere but here. And okay. Okay. I told you there was a plan and what was going to happen. And then you're like, well, how do I know it's going to work? And I'm like, because it is going to work. Because I'm telling you it's going to work. Well, who are you? I'm God. It's so written like a sketch to me. So God also said, so he says, the Lord, the God of your fathers. Okay, we'll go over this again. This is my name forever, the name you shall call me from generation to generation. Let me get a little more detail in verse 16. Go assemble the elders of Israel and say to them, the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, appeared to me and said, I've watched over you and I've seen what's been going on. Let me not abridge. I have seen what has been done to you in Egypt, and I've promised to bring you up out of your misery in Egypt into the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, a land flowing with milk and honey. Moses, I've talked about this stuff before. We've covered a lot of this, and it seems like you're not as up to speed. It's fine. You grew up in the Pharaoh, whatever. But maybe if you go talk to them, they'll know who I am, and then we can speed this up maybe. Verse 18. That was all Anthony talking. Verse 18. The elders of Israel will listen to you. Then you and the elders are to go to the king of Egypt and say to him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. Let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God. But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go unless a mighty hand compels him. So I'll stretch out my hand and I'll strike the Egyptians with all the wonders that I'll perform among them. And after that, he'll let you go.
I like the specifics of the 3-day journey that he demands. He goes to the king of Egypt and says, we need a 3-day journey to go do this. And it sounds like, hey, the union workers are demanding some PTO. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is how Labor Day got invented.
The 3-day weekend?
Yeah, just that long 3-day weekend just to go do your thing. Make some sacrifices.
Employers were like familiar with the Bible, and they're like, better not say no to those 3-day weekends I keep asking for. That's really interesting though, and a subject. I don't know how much we get into it today. I don't think very much, but we've been doing a read through the Bible plan with some of the Bible's funny folks. Shouts out. And reading ahead, I'm like, I can't wait to talk about that more. So anyway, he tells them this is what's going to happen. Verse 21, I'll make the Egyptians favorably disposed towards this people, so that when you leave, you will not go empty-handed. Every woman is to ask her neighbor and any woman living in her house for articles of silver and gold and for clothing, which you'll put on your sons and daughters, so you'll plunder the Egyptians.
There it is.
Plunder them.
Yeah. That's the God told us to do it excuse. We're there. And also, by the way, God tacked on this other little rule that said we have to take all their valuable stuff. God, I don't know, but we took it. We took it because God told Moses before that we should.
Right, and both times it's referenced passively. You just ask. You're supposed to ask. Mm-hmm. And that's how it comes back up later, which makes me think I'm not asking my neighbors for nearly enough. They come through with the eggs and the sugar when I ask, and I just probably need to up the ante. Yeah,
but it says ask, but then it says and so you will plunder them. I don't think plunder is really. You don't plunder. I don't think you plunder
in the nicest way.
I don't think it is willingly plundered.
Like I'm plundering, Netflix, but I'm using someone else's subscription.
Oh, mine. That's right.
Exodus 4. Moses answered, what if they don't believe me or listen to me and say, the Lord did not appear to you?
Well.
And again, I just want to pause and say how impossible these questions are kind of to answer. So again, I'm just putting it
because he's arguing with a fire.
He's arguing with God in the presence of a burning bush. And but I think, like, explain to me why you're Tim. And you take a stab at it. And I'm like, what if I don't believe you that you're Tim? Well, I don't know what to...
That is a possibility.
How do I answer that? And so then, very logically to me, verse 2, then the Lord says to him, what's in your hand? What's that in your hand? And he's a staff. He replied. The Lord said, throw it on the ground. So Moses, do it on the ground. I'm not part of your system. I'm an adult. And it became a snake, and he ran from it. I'm sorry, I was going in and out of the verse there. But you should hear that in its entirety. The Lord said, throw it on the ground. Moses threw it on the ground, and it became a snake, and he ran from it.
At this point, God's got to be like, this...
I think the same thing.
This is the guy. I guess I picked him.
Like, you were holding a staff. You're talking to God, a divine presence. Like, again, let's pretend. I don't know where Moses is at with his understanding of how any of this works. You're being talked to from a bush that's on fire. It's not burning up. And it's communicating to you in some way that you're understanding
it. And you're listening. You're following some directions.
There's a back and forth going on. You're holding a staff. The voice says, throw that staff on the ground. I'll show you. You're asking, how will anybody believe any of this? Okay, I'll show you. Take that staff, throw it on the ground. He throws it on the ground, becomes a snake, and he gets scared, and he runs away from it. Mm-hmm. Ah! Snake! I just told you. Golly. Well, I guess he didn't tell him it was going to be a snake, in fairness, but still, like...
Right, but the extra running away.
Egad!
Yeah.
So the Lord says to him, reach out your hand, take it by the tail. So Moses reached out and took hold of the snake, and it turned back into a staff in his hand.
You think there's a lot of pushback at that point when God's like, hey, grab it by the tail? What was Moses'
I got to imagine, very...
Like, we like to think about Moses as
gingerly.
a big old tough guy, but he just ran away from the snake.
He's spooked out.
Like, kid, I don't even... He grabs, like, the little tip of the tail.
Yeah. And I understand. The world, the rules of the world around you are changing by the minute, but it's so funny to read it back. So he reaches out, he grabs it. Verse 5. This, said the Lord, is so that they may believe that the Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you. Same one, right here. Then the Lord said, put your hand inside your cloak. So Moses put his hand into his cloak, and when he took it out, the skin was leprous, and it had become white as snow. Which, again, no input into the response of Moses here, but I got to imagine it's dramatic in some way. Like, what a nightmarish, series of things he's going through. Now put it back into your cloak, he said. So Moses put his hand back into his cloak, and when he took it out, it was restored, like the rest of his flesh. So then the Lord said, if they don't believe you or pay attention to the first sign, they may believe the second. But if they do not believe these two signs or listen to you, take some water from the Nile and pour it on the dry ground. The water you take from the river will become blood on the ground.
I like that he's going to, kind of pause there and run out to the Nile, grab a little bit, and then pour it. And then God's like, okay, and then if that doesn't work, I want you to take this lady, put her in a box, and we're going to cut her in half.
Seriously.
And then we're going to spin it around so everybody can see all the sides, and we're going to put her back together, and everybody's going to cheer.
I have a legit curiosity if God, it feels to me sometimes, in the stories of the scripture, God is at least a little sarcastic. There's a little sarcasm, and that's what I picked up here. If they don't believe you or pay attention to the first sign, maybe they'll believe the second. If they literally watch a staff turn into a snake and are still I don't know, maybe the leprosy thing will work, dude. What is wrong with you people? What do I got to do?
And what's funny, because we're about to get it, I want to spoiler alert for a second. But God tells Moses that God hardened Pharaoh's heart even more. Right. So according to the story, God has some influence over how people feel. Yeah. And you'd think maybe God would go, if they believe you on the first, or tell you what, I'll just make them believe you the first time. Right. But it's that is not exercised. Right. And I'm sure there's a spiritual purpose for it. About perseverance or something. Well,
they say, because he says the first time he references that, it's very It's earlier. We already read it, but it's something like he's like you were going to do all this, and then the king of Egypt's not going to let you go. It's very like statement of fact.
But later on, we'll get there. But
I know.
But he says something about like he hardened God hardened his heart.
Right.
Like, that was an active thing that God did.
It's definitely a question because it feels to be presented differently. In both of those times. So I scrolled and I can't do that. Okay. So Moses said to the Lord, verse 10, thank you. Pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent, neither in the past nor since you have spoken to your servant.
If you couldn't tell.
Starting from like 5 minutes ago, before staffs turned into snakes. I am slow of speech and tongue. The Lord said to him, who gave human beings their mouths? And I just, again, in my question, can God be sarcastic? I just feel like that feels like sarcasm to me. Like, oh, okay, you can tell me about it. You personally can't. Mm-hmm. You're not great at talking to people. Okay, so you did something to get all this stuff. You did. That was your thing. Who makes them deaf or mute? Who gives them sight or makes them blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go. I'll help you speak, and I'll teach you what to say.
So like here, God is just straight up admitting that God gave Moses the stutter that he has,
and or threatening a little bit.
Well, like, but God is already saying, who makes people blind and deaf? This guy. Like, but why do you do that?
You like hearing stuff? Yeah?
I do. Oh.
Okay.
You could also make
maybe we
deaf.
Do stuff the way I'm asking you to do it.
Yeah, you got it.
I don't know that's, I don't think necessarily.
God's a mobster here.
Maybe that's my Italian roots coming out into my reading. Now go, I will help you speak, and I will teach you what to say. So that run uninterrupted, the Lord said to him, who gave human beings their mouths? Who makes them deaf or mute? Who gives them sight or makes them blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go, I'll help you speak, and I'll teach you what to say. Moses said, verse 13, pardon your servant, Lord. Please send someone else.
There it is.
That's what we were working towards. The excuses were crumbling, and it was like, I got an idea.
Just be direct.
Since we're brainstorming, what if it just wasn't me that did this? What if it was? What if there's another option? Then the Lord's anger burned against Moses, and he said, what about your brother, Aaron, the Levite? I know he can speak well. He's already on his way to meet you, and he will be glad to see you. You shall speak to him and put words in his mouth. I will help both of you speak, and I will teach you what to do. He will speak to the people for you, and it will be as if he were your mouth, and as if you were God to him. My emphasis. Except maybe he'll actually listen to what you're trying to tell him. Because I'm over here trying to say a lot, and none of it's getting through. What about your... Yeah, I just envisioned that being said kind of through gritted teeth.
Yeah, and I wonder if God at this point is like, should I just send Aaron? What is Moses doing?
I should have started. Maybe I should have started with Aaron. Oh well. About your brother Aaron. I know he can speak well. He will speak to the... Quick sidebar. Aaron, I'm curious about Aaron. How much older is Aaron? Because remember, keeping Moses alive was no small feat.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're like, oh, he's got a brother. So I'm going to like, well, how'd that happen?
I don't know. Might have to listen to another podcast.
One of the things we do here is we send you to the theological podcast with good questions. Report back. Tell us what you learned. You shall speak to him. He will speak to the people for you. Verse 17. But take the staff in your hand so you can perform the signs with it.
You got to do something, man.
I cannot take you off this project entirely. Can you hold the staff? Please? I kind of wondered after reading all this too, like this exchange with the, it's fun to like poke fun at Moses and we have this great story we get to work through. But it's like people you'll hear today are like, well, if God was real, God would do stuff when I like, give me a sign right now, God. And I do feel like there's some realness to this story that like, it wouldn't work though. We all know that, right? Like if God did something, we'd immediately be like, I don't know, was that snake there the whole time? I forgot if there was a snake there. You have the interactions like this recorded and you're like, this is If I was God, I'd be like, I'm not doing the signs anymore. I did the signs. It was harder to talk to you people. So I'm not doing the signs anymore. Verse 18. Then Moses went back to Jethro, his father-in-law, and said to him, let me return to my own people in Egypt to see if any of them are still alive.
Such a great vacation pitch.
Go see if everybody's dead.
I want to go out of town. Oh, yeah? What for? See if everybody's dead.
I got a feeling, but I don't know for sure.
I might be dead. I just kind of want to check.
Gotta see.
It's not even like optimist. It's just, I want to see if any of them are still alive.
Yeah, it's framed like that. I want to see if any of them are still alive over there. Mm-hmm. Oh, Jethro said, go, and I wish you well. Verse 18. That maybe you frame it like that with your in-laws so they don't feel like they want to come.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's the move by Moses.
That's a really good idea.
It's not. It's really a bummer and drama.
I'm just going to go watch dead people.
Is it?
Probably all dead. Dead people. Not in a fun way.
Probably all dead. I'm really good at talking. Now the Lord had said to Moses and Midian, go back to Egypt, for all those who wanted to kill you are dead. So Moses took his wife and sons, put them on a donkey, and started back to Egypt. And he took the staff of God in his hand. This is his job, and he's taking it seriously.
Right. I imagine this is a little sidebar, but is there a connection between like Moses traveling back then and like us, like nowadays, where he like kind of gets on the road and he's like, oh, shoot, I forgot the staff. I got to go back. And he like turns back, gets back in the driveway and he's like, I grabbed the staff. Because he left it like on the tent kitchen counter or something.
Yeah.
Because I know I've had those moments.
Yeah.
Like if I go surfing or something and I've forgotten the board at my house. Like, this is the one thing you need, man.
You really...
Like, was that ever a thing?
Could have been. I had a curiosity similar come up because of his incidents with the staff, right? And like he threw it down and it became a snake. So I'm wondering if you're going to bed and you're like setting it down next to you. If you're like, okay, don't do the snake thing. Don't do the snake thing.
Like Nicolas Cage with the thing in the rock. The pearls.
Just be normal. Stay a stick. Okay. And then it's nighttime in the tent and it's all shadows and you're like staring at it like, I don't know, now it looks like, is it still a snake? Is it a stick?
Do snakes sleep? I think they sleep.
They would sleep just like that though, wouldn't they? Just like kind of tubular and...
that little curl at the end.
The Lord said to Aaron, verse 27, go into the wilderness. Wait, no, I skipped way ahead. Excuse me. Excuse me. Verse 21. The Lord said to Moses, when you return to Egypt, see that you perform before Pharaoh all the wonders I've given you the power to do, but I will harden his heart so that he will not let the people go. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's one time it's presented as like, this is what will happen. And then it's kind of presented as like, it's like his heart is being
God
hardened.
Saying, I have the ability to change his heart.
And there's this is interesting. Again, there are just better podcasts for this kind of thing.
There are better podcasts.
Because it does talk about, there's another verse talks about God kind of navigating the hearts of leaders. Anyway, I will harden his heart so you will not let the people go. Then say to Pharaoh, this is what the Lord says. Israel is my firstborn son, and I told you, let my son go so he may worship me. But you refused to let him go, so I will kill your firstborn son. Mm-hmm. That's some tough talk right there.
Yeah, sounds like it's a good plan. So there's nothing more effective than threatening a maniacal dictator.
Hey,
I'm going to kill your kids.
That's right. At a lodging place on the way, verse 24, buckle up. At a lodging place on the way, the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him. Understandable from my perspective, based on how this whole interaction's gone so far. But yeah, verse 24. This throws me every time, these next couple of verses. Exodus 3:24. At a lodging place on the way, the Lord met Moses, was about to kill him. But Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin, and touched Moses' feet with it. Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me, she said. So the Lord let him alone. Parentheses. At that time, she said bridegroom of blood, referring to circumcision. Mm-hmm. A lot to unpack there. Mm-hmm. I think you are a wife who loves your husband and you see that he's in danger. Somehow you have like the vision to see what's going on. So you do the only thing that makes sense.
I want that.
You grab a stone
as a menu option.
You circumcise your son
and
you hit his feet with it.
When your babies are born, Like you're looking at like all the things you can do. I got to do which shot do I put a B12 or
Right.
which or gonna do you want the circumcision? No, I don't want the circumcision. Give me the bridegroom blood. That's what my kid needs. What?
You hit my feet with it?
Psychopath.
Touched Moses' feet with it. I got nothing other than what a scene. What a scene.
Like a toe ring?
So gross. We continue along in verse 27. The Lord said to Aaron, "Go into the wilderness to meet Moses." So he met Moses at the mountain of God and kissed him. Then Moses told Aaron everything the Lord had sent him to say, and also about all the signs he had commanded him to perform. Moses and Aaron brought together all the elders of the Israelites, and Aaron told them everything the Lord had said to Moses. He also performed the signs before the people, and they believed. So there's a lot of contingency plans Moses made up that were not needed in this summary. No, we just kind of told them about, remember the God of the Abraham and the Isaac, and like they knew.
Yeah, they were like, yeah, we got it.
Moses was sold. He also performed the signs before the people, and they believed. And when they heard that the Lord was concerned about them and had seen their misery, they bowed down and they worshipped.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 31, and that is Exodus 3 and 4. Tim, so much to unpack today.
Mm-hmm.
What did you learn today?
What did I learn today? I learned that it just always poke the bear. Always prod. If you're not getting what you want, just like threaten your boss. Like over and over, threaten to kill your boss's kids, of course.
Oh gosh.
That's what Moses did. It worked out fine for him. And if you survive,
sure.
And then you'll know God was with you because you worshipped God. That's how you'll know that it was God's idea.
Yeah.
Is that if you worship God after.
I sort of love that. The sign I can give you that it'll work is that it's going to work.
Is that you're going to praise me for it.
How do you know we're going to win the game, coach?
Because you're going to thank me for it.
At the end of the game, we're going to have more points than they do, and you're all going to be saying thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was asking more like running attack. My thing here with the staff and the snake is I don't think we're testing this enough, right? So if you're holding something right now as you listen to this podcast, throw it on the ground. Okay, what just happened? Tell us on Instagram at The Bible is Funny. Did anything interesting happen? And again, this is not one of those things. It's 1 in a million. But if 1 million of us try it,
then we got a snake.
Maybe you got a stew going. So you got to throw more stuff on the ground.
Videos. I want videos of throwing stuff on the ground.
When you're in danger, throw something on the ground. Well, see what happens, right? It's sort of like as a post goes around the internet every once in a while. You heat up a popcorn kernel, it explodes into popcorn. We haven't tried this on enough stuff. What does it do if we heat it up till it explodes?
Do not do this with people. This does not work with your little brother or sister.
No. That's
nephew, niece, kid.
Good word.
Don't try it. It doesn't work with people. Works with cats. They just turn into cats.
Always gonna land on their feet.
They're always they don't break.
That's what I learned. We all learned something today. This is a big day. All right, y'all. We did it. We're 4 chapters into Exodus now. Good work.
You good work.
You good work. Thanks for listening to the podcast. Let us know what happened when you threw stuff on the ground at The Bible is Funny on Instagram. Let us know if you sponsor a kid through Compassion International, compassion.com/Bible is Funny. Let us know so we can shout you out. And we'll be back here with another episode very soon. Bye.
See ya.
The Bible